Hello and welcome, I'm your host KB, and you're watching another episode of KB's Thoughts. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we've seen some drastic changes to the world, which has affected everything from our everyday way of life, even to the world of collectibles. With the values of hobbies like comic books and trading cards reaching all-time highs, I thought for this video it might be fun and interesting to do something a little different and discuss how some of these changes have affected me and my collecting habits. I have always had a number of different interests, from toys to vinyl records, but the initial idea for this video was sparked after I decided to downsize my basketball card collection. Now, I've collected cards pretty steadily since I was around 8 years old, and having never really sold items off over the years, I found the size of my collection had slowly grown over the last few decades to the point that I was a little overwhelmed, and I felt I had a lot of stuff that I wasn't particularly attached to. Now, I don't want this video to come off as me flexing or anything, so I'm not going to speak about specific dollar values, as I wanted this video to be more about my decision making when it comes to my recent collecting choices. When it comes to collectibles, I've never been particularly comfortable spending large amounts of money on any single item, even if it is disposable income. In the world of trading cards, there's definitely high-end collectors, and you can easily find high rollers spending tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars on one single card. And I'm definitely what you would call a budget or a low-end collector. For me, a $100 card purchase would be considered a pretty big one. But this same mentality transfers over to anything I collect, be it toys, games, or comics. After feeling my collection was getting a bit too big, I started slowly selling a few items online last year, and after the market exploded earlier this year, I found cards that were selling for only a few dollars a few years ago, now selling for hundreds or sometimes thousands. With this, I decided it was the perfect time to capitalize and start selling a larger volume of cards in order to fund some larger comic book purchases. After all, being able to sell a card or a few cards I didn't particularly have much invested in, either emotionally or monetarily, and in turn going on to buy a copy of Deadpool's first appearance is a very satisfying feeling. So while the card market is booming, the comic books market was and still is booming as well. So while I was selling off my cards for a premium, I was also purchasing these books at current all-time highs as well. But looking at it practically, I was happy with the decisions I made. Now, I don't think that true collectors should look at their collections as a currency or commodity, but I do think it's important that we look at our hobbies or collections practically when it comes to how much money, or more importantly time, that we have invested in them. In my case, I justified the sale of my modern sports cards as I believe the value of them, or the sports card market in general, especially with modern cards, is a lot more volatile value-wise. For me, the market is overvalued, with people overpaying for cards of players who have barely started their careers. Spending big money on Jordan or LeBron is understandable, as they are proven cultural icons who have left their mark on the game. But spending that same type of money on a second or third year player feels like a massive gamble to me, especially when sports cards themselves have also had a pretty up and down history when it comes to popularity over the years. In regards to comic books, with superhero movies being dominant at the box office for the last 10 to 15 years, the characters and the comic books they originated from have become so heavily entrenched in pop culture that I feel the risk of the comics market dropping is much lower than that of the sports card market. When it comes to comics, I view them in the same way as I view rookie cards of iconic sports stars. As a key first appearance of a beloved iconic comic character is always going to hold some value, as opposed to that new spec book from a new character appearing in the Marvel or DC universe. Another big factor for me is thinking about the practicality of my collection in the future. Most collectors will agree we can't take our collections to the grave with us, so it is a comforting thought to think that the items you have spent years curating and enjoying will gain value in the future, and also not be burdensome to our loved ones once we are gone. Again, monetary value shouldn't be important if you are truly enjoying what you are collecting. But I do think that when you start throwing around those larger dollar values, that it is important that we are making more informed decisions when it comes to larger purchases.
These cards are mint condition originals. I can make copies that will sell to any card shop, in any card show, anywhere in the country.
That's very good, Eli. Get on it.
Once again, thank you very much for watching this episode. Please go and subscribe to the channel, check out some of my older videos or playlists, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.